Hi, and welcome to our webinar on Jim2 version 4.5. A common thing I hear when I talk to customers is that they don't know what they don't know. And as such, we'll cover each topic from the basics to advanced usage to make sure that you're all fully informed of each section. At the end of each session, we'll have a Q&A in which you can type any question you like into chat, and we'll either answer live or get back to you with an answer after our webinar. I've turned off the chat function, so in lieu of that, please use the Q&A section. So if you'd like a question answered, please use the Q&A section. I also wanted to let you know that these webinars and other short informational videos are available in our Learning Centre. You can find this on our website by going to jim2.com.au, highlighting resources, and then clicking Learning Centre. Finally, before we get started, I wanted to thank everyone that filled out the survey ahead of this webinar. It was great to see what our customer base wanted to know more about the new Jim2 version. There were a couple of points sent in that I wanted to address before the Q&A section of the webinar. But for now, let's start on today's topic, Jim2 version 4.5. Well, here we are. Jim2 version 4.5 was released on the 2nd of May, and many of you have already taken advantage of the update. Some of you may be holding off to see how the new features may help your business. Hopefully, I can help with that today. To discuss the new features, I must first address an elephant in the room. You see, there are two upgrade paths to get to Jim2 4.5. One's from version 4.3, which many of you have used for years, and the other is from 4.4, which some of you have used more recently. So the question then is, why did 4.4 not receive a wide release? Well, when developing software, we need to take many decisions about what features to include and how they're implemented. We understand that not all features will be used by all customers, especially in a product as diverse as Jim2. So then, the challenge becomes creating and implementing a set of features that will both benefit a wide range of customers while also implementing features that will appeal to customers in different industries. Simply put, when we had a version that we thought would stand up to our standards across the customer base, it fell short. The features we developed wouldn't be used by a range of different customers, and the customers they were developed for felt their implementation missed the mark. So we took a hard look at 4.4 and made a difficult decision. What we had needed to be redesigned, and what we didn't have needed to be created. And so began the creation of version 4.5. So depending on which version of Jim2 you're upgrading from, you may be aware of some of the features discussed today already. If this is the case, that's okay. There may be improvements to those features that you'll get by upgrading to 4.5. If you're hearing about a feature for the first time, and I don't go into enough detail today, you can find more information on our website and in Jim2 Help, or you can ask about it in the Q&A at the end of the webinar. I also wanted to give a shout out to everyone that's contributed to the User Voice platform over the last year or two. The ideas that our customers put forward are always welcome, and we simply wouldn't have the same amount of improvements to Jim2 in the new version than if we didn't have your ideas and support. If you haven't jumped on User Voice to add an idea or even vote on a few, be sure to check it out. I know sometimes it can seem like a bit of a black hole, but I can assure you that we're paying very close attention to the ideas and the votes on there. Again, thank you. To start, I thought it would be a good idea to do a quick review of the minimum requirements for Jim2. I have them on screen at the moment, and I won't worry about reading them all out, but if you go to Jim2 Help, click Getting Started with Jim2, and then select Technical Requirements, you'll find everything you need to know in there. Some things worth pointing out, however, is that .NET Framework 4.8 is recommended for both server and workstations, and that we do not support running on Windows 8.1 and below. So, without further ado, let's jump into the available features in Jim2 4.5. First up is a big improvement to the security of Jim2, and that is multi-factor authentication. I'm sure most of you are familiar with multi-factor authentication, or MFA for short. If you aren't familiar, it's essentially a system that adds a layer of protection to the logon process to help make sure that the person signing in is who they say they are. We've achieved this by leveraging multi-factor authentication applications that are available for iOS and Android through their respective app stores. Common examples include Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, and Duo. After turning on this feature, each user will be asked to set up their MFA through a QR code or secret key. And once this is set up, when the user logs on to Jim2, they'll be asked to supply a 6-digit code that can be found in their authentication application on their phone. We have created a video on how to set up and use MFA, which we'll link at the end of the webinar for anyone interested. Next up is the document integration with OneDrive and SharePoint file management. For a long time, you've been able to store your documents in the Jim2 database. This has allowed you to have any documentation related to jobs, quotes, projects, or anything else related to those objects accessible when and where you need them. Jim2 introduces an integration with OneDrive and SharePoint that will allow you to store your documents in the Microsoft 365 cloud and still enjoy the same level of accessibility to the related Jim2 objects that you've always enjoyed. You can choose to create an association with your M365 account, which will allow you to link existing documents to a Jim2 object, or you can take a document from Jim2 and store it in the M365 account. By having this integration, you're effectively changing the storage location of documents to your Microsoft account rather than your Jim2 database, which can help reduce the size of the database and reduce duplicate documents. We do have a Jim2 help page on how to set this up, which I'll include at the end of the webinar links. For our sales-orientated businesses, we've implemented a change in card file types. We found that the personal card file was not really being used by customers, so we've decided to change this to the prospect card file type. In doing this, we've instantly created a way for you to track your prospective customers in a way that completely separates them from your existing customers. There are some differences to the functionality for the prospect card file type. This includes restrictions on creating jobs, as well as a reduced need for information when creating the card code. There is an additional tab on the prospect card file for you to set any price levels or price groups that you'd like to use to generate new quotes with. There's also new security settings, which will help you restrict access to edit prospect details. By using this card file type when creating lists, you can easily restrict your existing customers from your prospective customers, which among other things, will help you direct communications more easily. We have tools for you to be able to import and export the prospect card file types too. If we go to Tools and then click Import Data Tool, you only need to select Card File Prospects to import prospects easily into your database. To export, simply make a list of prospects, then right-click and select Export Prospect Data to create a spreadsheet of the prospect's information. In addition to the prospect's card file type, we've created a new feature that will help you find duplicate card file entries. If we go to Management, Reports, click System, and then select Find Duplicate Card Files. If we run this, we get the option of matching on email addresses, phone number, and/or the name of the customer. Press OK, and we'll get a spreadsheet that shows the matches that were found. We can then use this spreadsheet to tell us which card files might need to be merged together using the Merge Card Files feature in the Card Files ribbon. Speaking of card files more generally, we've also added the ability to filter a list by web logon, which can be really handy for our Jim2 commerce customers. The web logon allows access for your customers to your Jim2 commerce online store, so being able to find them quickly can really help out there. Okay, next up, we have one that a lot of you have been waiting for. Introducing in Jim2 4.5 is the ability to import jobs from a spreadsheet. To do this, the spreadsheet must be set up with particular information, including, among other info, the card file information, as well as any items that should be attached to the job. In fact, there are a massive amount of fields that you can populate, which you can see here by scrolling. You can set default values for lines that don't have a value entered, and you can also save the mapping. This is especially handy for when you have a regular source of jobs that you want imported. Once you've selected the spreadsheet and mapped the columns, you can generate a preview to see what information will be imported. If there are any issues, a job will appear in the right-hand side in red, and if you expand, you can see what the issue might be. Now, if you need to import multiple lines of stock for a single job, you have a couple of options. You can either add the individual stock to the import while making sure the other information on the job is identical line by line, which will add all stock to a single job. Alternatively, you can set up an item that with the set of stock that you'd like to have added, and then just pop that item into the item code. I'd say that creating an item is great for situations in which you have common repeated stock required on jobs, and adding individual stock would be good for unique cases when importing. Next up, we have an improvement to quotes. As many of you would be aware, applied stock are a great way for you to set instructions against an object that must be manually completed via a dropdown. Something that we've heard from clients is that they'd like to be able to use these on quotes, and so that's what we've done. From Jim2 4.5, you'll be able to add apply stock to quotes. Not only will you be able to add them, but you can choose whether to include them or not when creating a job from a quote. When we click Create Job, Jim2 will first check that all apply stock has been marked as complete. If it hasn't, you'll get a warning that you must complete the entries before creating a job. When that's corrected, and we create a job, you'll find a new tick box that will tell Jim2 whether it should include the apply stock on the job or not. So you can include the instructions specific to quotes or have the instructions move to the jobs as you need. Okay. Do you find yourself spending a lot of time updating pricing information for your stock? The next new feature might be a big help. We can now import stock feeds from your vendors both manually and automatically. The automated version will allow you to receive a stock list from a vendor via a nominated email and have it automatically update information. Although the automated version of this is a licensed feature, we do also offer the ability to perform it manually as part of the base program. In both instances, you can save the mapping to align with how your different vendors send out their stock and pricing information and have it import to Jim2. You can also choose rules around what is updated and what isn't. To do this, we go to Vendor Stock Feeds and then click Rules and then Add. We can select a supplier and then we can set which fields should be updated and whether we should update the list price of the stock. Once saved, the rules will deploy based on the precedence order, so you can have some rules deploy before others to make sure that you're updating what you need when you need. Whether you're performing this task manually as you receive the information from your vendor, or if you choose to pay to license the automated version, you will save time in managing this regular task. You can learn more about this in a video we have available in our Learning Centre. I'll add a link to that at the end of the webinar. Now, normally I don't like to address a single portion of our customer base in webinars, as I want to make sure the information I'm providing is useful for all customers. I am, however, making an exception today, as there is so much packed into Jim2 4.5 that I simply couldn't miss talking to our MPS customers. If you aren't an MPS customer, that's okay. I have some more tips for you coming up. So, contracts can now apply a type of deal in finance. This makes it an easy way to select a lot of preset information about financial deals against the contract. To create the deal types, we go to Setups, and in the Contract section, select Contract Deal Types. In here, we can preset a number of commonly used options for deals to have them more easily applied in your contracts. Okay, next we have a big one. Jim2 4.5 now has licensed EKM connectors. This allows you to get information back from your machines in a volume never seen before in Jim2. Instead of receiving an email with meter reads or for toner requests, you can now have jobs automatically created based on the toner's days remaining. You can also have the meter reads pushed straight into Jim2, making your billing process a whole lot easier. In addition to the above, we now have preview panels in 4.5, which will show essential information like toner levels and last supplied date, among other information. This info automatically comes through the EKM connector each day to help you stay up to date with the information you need. We also have options to filter lists by the EKM's last contact, so there's lots of value there. Moving away from EKM related features, we've changed your ability to set a meter read entry period for MPS connectors. Instead of having a single set of days to receive reads across all connectors, you can now set it on each connector. This is to help account for the variance that can be experienced between the different available connectors, which should help you organize your billing as you need. We have a new ship address checkbox available in contract that, when ticked, will automatically update the ship address when an asset ship card code is changed. And one of the other big changes is that we've removed the skip billing button cycle in meter reads. We've made this change as this button has been a big problem generator over the years. If you were used to using this button, we would instead encourage you to enter the same reads as were entered in the previous billing cycle, and then generate a job that can be used on an invoice. This will help you keep your billing up to date and ensure better visibility within Jim2 to see which machines have or haven't been billed. Meter setups have now been moved to the Meter tab on an item, which replaces the drop-down from 4.3 that chooses between black or color. This allows you to have more options with meters that can be set up in the meter setup, but not necessarily used when billing. Just to cover off some quick ones, you can now export machine info from a list of machines by right-clicking in a list of machines and selecting Export Machine Data. You can also export finance data from a list of contracts. Just right-click the list and select Export Project Finance Data. There's also an increased ability to filter a list of contracts based on its billing cycle with the checkboxes up here. And then you can also set up meter billing stock with a host of new options in the Contract tab. You can set whether the billing type is standard, overs or unders, as well as a host of other options. I think that should cover MPS for now, though I will mention that these are improvements when staying on the 4.3 billing style. When you move to the updated billing style, you get access to even more goodies. Okay, so that was some of the main big ticket features, but let's have a look at some of the improvements to existing features that are aimed at providing you more options and saving you more time. Let's start in dashboards. We've included a few new widgets across 4.4 and 4.5, which can show information about published lists. This basically lets you create a set of published lists on things that you want to monitor across the business. You can display the counts from jobs, quotes, projects, and now stock. Especially handy is when you click one of the published list count widgets, it will take you to the list that's making up the number. This is fantastic for keeping an eye on many business areas in one easy place. I mentioned stock as one of the published lists you can display, and if we take a look at a stock list, we can see a new addition to its filter options. You can now select Promotion, which will filter a list to show all stock that's included in that promotion. We also have the ability to filter a list by the date that the stock was moved, sold, not sold, or purchased within a selected time period. For clarity, not sold means that you can select a time period and see any stock that was not sold at all over that period. Continuing on with stock, if we take a look at a kitting type stock, we'll see some new tick boxes available to you to choose to either set the stock description from the kitting line or to have the description default back to the original stock's description. If you're creating lists of apply stock, this feature is especially useful. Moving on to purchases, we can find a couple of new improvements here. You can now link a non-strict RFC or debtors PO to a project or contract, which should help you organize any returns that you may need to relate to projects. There are also new options in PO and RFC lists that allow you to filter based on contract or project and master contract or master project. Oh, you can import serial numbers via a spreadsheet too. As you can see, I have a PO here for 5 monitors. If I click the ellipses, we can put in the serial numbers. If I click import, I can then select the spreadsheet that contains the serials, map the columns to the serials, and then click import. There's so much that's been added. Be sure to check out the website for a full list because there's no way I could possibly go through everything in this webinar. Some other examples are invoicing can auto allocate unlinked payments when you're invoicing. That should be a big help. Now, if we go to the history area, we can see the login history of users. You can set whether your Jim2 licenses can be restricted to only normal logins, such as standard users or accountant users, or can be freely used for mobile logins and API-only logins, as well as normal logins. We've created security for access to certain payment types. HappenPay and Stripe have been added as merchants for settlements. CBA NetBank has also been added to bank feeds. There are many improvements to the API, some of which flow into the functionality available for Jim2 Commerce. We've created the ability to allow default stock location to be based on the ship card file for purchase orders. There's a new electronic payment bank file format for Kiwi Bank. This has been added into the bank info in the general ledger. And of course, we have the new mobile application for both iOS and Android. Like I said, there's just so much to fit in that to demonstrate it would take all day. So instead of me rabbiting on and on, I'll put the link to the update notes in chat for you all to access. If you want to know more about anything I mentioned today or that you see in the update notes, feel free to reach out to us to learn more. Well, we sure covered a lot today about the new Jim2 version. We covered document integration with OneDrive and SharePoint, multi-factor authentication, prospect card file types, the bulk import job tool, MPS features, and much, much more. Before we go to the Q&A, there are a couple of points from the pre-webinar survey that I'd like to address. To help with responses, I'd like to introduce Derek, one of our wonderful business analysts, and Ian, our Chief Customer Officer. Guys, a customer has asked, is there an easy way to get to card files from a task list? Derek?
There sure is, actually. Thank you very much, and great presentation. There sure is a way to get to card files from the task list. If you navigate over to the scheduling menu for me, yep, great, click on task list. There we go. If we run a set of tasks.
I don't think I've got any of my,
that's
yeah,
totally
sorry,
fine.
A little unprepared there, actually.
That's okay. What you'll find in this list is a list of tasks that have been assigned. They'll either be to-dos or associated to a job. So unfortunately, when you right click on task lists that are to-dos, they're not associated with a job, then you won't be able to jump to the card file. But to-do tasks or tasks in that task list that are associated to a job will give you the ability not only to right click on that line of data and jump to the job, but you could also jump straight to the card file as well.
Fantastic, thank you.
All
next up, this one's in relation to the 4.5 update specifically. The customer wanted to know, has there been any default column orders with job and machine reports changed? For example, job details report, will all the columns match the previous version? Are you aware of that, Derek? Maybe Ian can jump in?
Yeah, no, I'm not too sure on that one. Ian?
No, we just have to review the report. There's so many reports. I need to understand which columns are in that report. So unfortunately, now I can't at the moment. We'll take that note. We can get back to the participants.
Absolutely. I guess the answer then is if you do notice something, then by all means reach out to support and we'll look at it. I don't think there is, but you know, if you see something, let us know. So we'll open up for questions now. Do we have anything waiting?
Yeah, we've got a couple in here in the Q&A, which is great. There's a question relating to the job import feature and whether it can be used to edit jobs. And the answer to that is no, it's used to import the jobs. So once the import is done, you would need to move into those jobs and edit them if there were further changes required.
Fantastic. I'll just bring that up again to make that nice and clear.
Sure.
Yeah. I realized I didn't actually hit import. Maybe I'll thank you warning. Please check. Okay, so it would actually need to correct any issues before importing. That's why I was not doing that. Cool.
There was a question relating to multi-factor authentication being enforced on the mobile app. For example, can a tech log on to the mobile app with face recognition? The answer is yes to that. However, multi-factor is the next layer of security after facial recognition. So you still will need to enter in that MFA number if you wish to access Jim, if you've got that turned on.
Are you saying that we can log into the mobile app with face recognition, Derek?
You certainly can. If you
That's
are
amazing.
okay
I
with
didn't know that.
Apple or Android having your biometric data, yes, you certainly can do that.
Fantastic.
There is some
Excellent.
conversation going on in relation to the MFA and how onerous it may be in that mobile space. So for the moment, absolutely, as you said, Derek, the MFA is required to be entered each time that you log in. We're just looking at reviewing the frequency of that requirement. So that will potentially see more changes to the MFA as it applies to Jim2 Mobile.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ian. One here, will OneDrive integration be available for Jim2 cloud users?
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Yeah. If you've got an M365 account, you can absolutely link that up for your Jim2 cloud experience.
In fact, it is the way that we use it at Happen Business.
Internally, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Okay. This one's a bit of an MPS question, so actually we might leave that and get back to you privately on that one.
Cool. Rob Cavallo asked, previously I was able to open 2 sessions at one time. Now it logs me out. Is it possible to have 2 sessions open at the same time? It certainly is. If you do have 2 sessions open, accessing either the same database or 2, we'll have to chat with you about how the licensing operates. But we can certainly have a chat with you. So I'll reach out to you after this, Rob, and have a chat with you about that.
So you can have multiple screens open at the moment. As you can see, we've got this new Jim2 session button right here. That's going to open an additional screen for the connection to the same database. I think there's some people experiencing some differences with how the multiple databases works. So we just need to get the exact details there. Okay.
I notice
sorry.
Anne-Marie's asking about the asset register. There's no development around asset register with depreciation, no. So depreciation calculations are still done outside of Jim2 and then journaled with the general journal back in.
I think she's also asked any improvement around buying back existing serial numbers. That doesn't make much sense to me, but I'm not the smartest can in the shed. Ian, have you come across that before?
Yes, I assume we're talking about where the unique identification of serial numbers is turned on in the options, and as a result, actually selling it and buying it back, buying in one serial number, selling it to a customer, and then buying it back from that customer if that was the requirement, can cause some grief in that situation. And we are actually doing some work on that. We're currently in development working on that for a I don't know if we'd call it a release, but there'll be a build later in the year which would accommodate that. Now, it's not a common thing for our customers in terms of who uses Jim2 that way, but yes, we do have some businesses who need to have that feature.
Fantastic, thank you. Michael asks, another question in regards to job imports. Can this feature or similar be used for adding stock to a purchase order? Actually, I might even take this one. Michael, so what you can do is import the jobs, and then from the list of jobs that have been imported, you can actually right-click and auto-create purchase orders. And I think that's going to add all the stock from those jobs directly to a purchase order. So that's going to be probably the way that you want to do that.
There is also a conversation to be had around loading stock straight to a PO from a spreadsheet. And we'd love to get a question about that into the support queue. So Michael, if you could just forward that to us, we can come back to you with some information regarding scripting to do that.
Fantastic. Okay, if we rearrange the columns in the transaction tab in the card file section, do we have the option to save it? Now that would be
Unfortunately, I've just tested
No.
that, Joanne. Unfortunately, it looks as if when I rearrange the columns on that transaction tab, either under the job, lead, sales register, stock tabs, and then I click edit and save it and then move away from it, it stays the same way. However, if you close the card file, those column orders will be reset, fortunately. So if you'd like to have a further discussion around customization on that, feel free to get in touch with the support team.
Sounds like a good one for user voice, actually. I've got a feeling they may be on there already.
Yeah, sorry, it has been covered in user voice,
okay.
so it is in our development plans to lock that in and allow it to be retained.
So not yet, Joanne, but watch this space. Ali would like to find out about 2 sessions at the same time. Can do, Ali. And Brenton, does the calendar integrate with M365 calendar? And does 4.5 provide any improvement for multi-screens, allowing windows to pop out of the app? So we can have multiple jobs or lists open. So you can do it within the app, much you see here, but it is restricted to that window. In terms of outside the app, I don't think that's a possibility as yet. Yeah. The Microsoft 365 calendar, we do have an integration with Outlook in terms of moving appointments from Jim2 into the Outlook calendar, but unfortunately they don't come back in. So there is a little bit there, but definitely something that was on the list.
Just with Brenton there, I think the multi-session might help you with some of the questions you have here. So where you have multi-screens.
Oh, good call. Yeah.
It's quite common for me, for example, to use Jim2 on 2 screens all day. And I might run purchase orders on one side and jobs on another, or emails in one section and quotes on another. So that allows me to work on 2 screens and deal with different elements of Jim2 quite easily.
Sorry, you're absolutely right. The multiple sessions there is going to be a big benefit, I think. Actually, just pop that there and then.
Going to be hard to do in one.
There we go. Yeah, it's kind of tricky for the webinar, but I think I've kind of got it going there. So yeah, we'll shrink down the preview panel a bit maybe. Cool. Can checkbox be automatically ticked when creating a job from a quote? So the include comments and emails is ticked already. I think there's a little bit on user voice about the different default settings that people would like to see. Ian, do you know if that exists already?
No, I can tell you, Rob, your defaults are great, and so is everybody else's. So everybody has all sorts of different defaults that they want, and we have a conversation continually going on about how we should manage that. Do we set up some sort of option screen that says when you do this, you have these defaults? It will continue to be debated. We'd love more ideas and thoughts from you in Happen User Voice to help us get an understanding if there's some common requests coming up here.
Fantastic. Dan would like to also know about creating PO from Excel file. We can absolutely let you know, Dan. Sam would like to know, when you run multiple sessions, does it consume multiple licenses? Not from the same database. So how I've got this open here is absolutely using one license.
I'll just correct that just a little, if I may,
Oh,
Ash.
please do, yeah.
We are counting the license. We are counting that they're being used, but we're not actually using that to limit the amount of users in that circumstance. I just clarify that because if you look at your user count, you may well see listed twice that it's using the 2 licenses in that sense, but it's not actually using the license from a restrictive point of view. What we are going to do, we will introduce, is the ability to have the second session used by the same user, and we will, as the development takes place, allow you to log out of that second session and log into a different database with the same rules. So that is coming. It's not here in this particular build, and it will be a while before we get to it, by the way. But that will then mean that you can switch between different databases if you have different databases in your environment, and you'll be able to do that without limiting the amount of licenses, provided it's the same user on the same workstation trying to access both databases.
Thank you, Ian. Selena asks, importing jobs from a spreadsheet to select a customer, can it only be done with the customer code, or can that be done by name? Also, can from and ship carry across and duplicate within this spreadsheet? Hi. Just a quick interruption for a correction. As we were unaware at the time, we've decided to make sure the facts were correct in this recording regarding the job importer. The job importer is able to match customers based on their name without the need for customer codes being present. In reference to the customer's question, the card code will be the only match made by the name match, as you may not want the from and ship codes to be populated as the same. This matching ability will also be coming to stock name in a future update. You only need one piece of information that matches in your database to create a job. If there is a problem with the matching of information, it will show in the preview generated in the Job Import tool. You can use this checkbox at the bottom of the preview to show only jobs that have errors to make this process a bit easier. Thank you, and let's get back to the webinar. Cool.
Yep, awesome. Is there a way to auto, Josh asks, is there an auto refresh option that can enable for emails that come in? At the moment, I have had to click on run to check emails for any use. Excellent question. The email lists run just like every other list in Jim2. You can label it where you see at the bottom next to the yellow number 1. You can label it. So we've called this list unread support. And therefore we signal that when an unread email comes in on this list, check it every 1 minute and run it.
That's what that one's looking for.
Correct.
What you may be looking for, though, is to see from a list or even on a job if an email has come in from a refresh from that point of view. If that's the case, then you can set an automated refresh on any of the lists, and then they'll appear in bold if there's an unread email. But directly on the job or object, I don't think there's a way. Cool. I think that's all of the questions. There's an absolute huge amount of questions. Thank you so much for everyone.
Yeah, that's great.
Is there some more?
Okay.
Email
and Anna Marie
archiving.
just asked, yeah.
Email archiving is something that I have explored. I wasn't actually going to do a webinar. I was going to do a video on it, on what's it called? Learning resources. There's a bunch of videos as well as webinars, but I haven't yet done one on email archiving. We can get information to you, of course, if you need it, but yeah, not one on that yet. Always taking suggestions though, and you just got it added to the list.
Yeah.
Okay, while we're waiting for any other questions, Derek, I've been meaning to ask you, what's your favorite part of the new version? I mean, I love the things that we're doing with the Jim2 commerce stores. I think it's absolutely fantastic, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, the commerce is up there, definitely, along with courier integration, but the big point for me, and especially talking to a lot of customers, that I think people will get a lot of benefit out of the job importer. That is 100%
a lot of time to be saved.
Top tier feature right there. Yep.
Fantastic. Ian, is there something that you're particularly excited about?
Well, the Jim2 commerce is definitely something out of this box. I mean, with the work we're putting in there and the team's putting into produce web pages that can generate great functionality, and using Jim2 as the back end to drive it, it's certainly a fabulous feature.
Thanks for that, Paul. Appreciate it.
Completely agree. Yeah, cheers, Paul. Yeah, no, I really appreciate the kudos there. We've got a question about interest rate changes on rental amounts. It sounds like it might be maybe a customization for rental items. Ian, are you aware of this one?
No, I think we need some more details from Anna Marie. If she'd like to pass those through to our support team, we'll pick that up.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you all for attending. If there's no further questions, oh, wait. Hey,
Sam, I'm sorry.
I love doing that, yeah.
Sam, I'm sorry to say to you, Sam, once you're offline with Jim2. So in terms of the mobile, so if you don't have access to the internet, you're not going to be able to see the database. It's a live database in that respect.
Think of the mobile phone, the mobile app as sort of a terminal, I guess, that's pointing back to a mainframe. Can you link files from OneDrive to jobs via the integration? You absolutely can. So if I go to a job, I'm just picking one at random, but if we go in and add a new, what you'll find, oh, actually this isn't set up for it, my apologies. What you'll find is that you'll be able to add a link for the document rather than the file itself, and then that document will be able to be accessed from that job at all times. So yeah, absolutely can link files from OneDrive to jobs and projects and quotes and most Jim2 objects. Anywhere you can currently link a document. Thanks for the question, Angie. Okay, well, we might wrap it up there, guys. If there is any other questions, feel free to reach out to support. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions. I'll leave some links for you to, you know, find a few of those videos and instructions that I mentioned earlier. And yeah, I'll pop some information on the screen about how you can get in touch with us. And I look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Ah.